A blended affair on the air right now. Here's your host, Michelle Meow.
Back to Swirl, your A through Z, covering the LGBT, LMNOP, and everyone in between show. I'm Michelle Meow, your host. You can catch us here all the time, every Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time or 9 o'clock Eastern Time at tradiov.com. Click on San Francisco, or you can catch us, well, yes, of course, our website, swirlradio.com. So I was saying, this is going to be kind of a good show, a half goofy but half serious show. In that, Shar Rednauer, she is sick, so excuse us, sorry for that and her crisis. But we do have with us an Emmy-nominated documentary filmmaker and video maker, Johnny Symons. Johnny, welcome to Swirl.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, we'll promise to not be so goofy. I bet you're just so like, what is going on with Swirl tonight?
Not at all. No, it's fine.
I think I scared everybody off with my heart sweater, but I wore it just for you because you have you make such loving films for what I had seen on your website. But anyway, so you're fresh from Sundance, which is amazing. So that means you've got another project that you're doing, but two films that I do want to recognize and point out, and the reason for bringing you on the show is you've made two films or documentaries that are based on LGBTQ families. The first being Daddy and Papa, which has a personal, experience for you, right?
Yeah, it does. It is. It's actually about four different families, but one of them is the family that my partner and I helped create. Yeah. Yeah.
So Daddy and Papa would feature four gay parents, or tell us a little bit about the documentary, and you're following everyone's day-to-day life, or maybe talk to us about, a little bit about each and every parent that was involved.
Sure. It's really about the experience of gay men who choose to form their own families, to choose to get kids or have kids on their own. And so there's four families in the film. There's one San Francisco single gay man living in the Castro who decides to adopt two kids from the foster care system and raise them on his own. There is a gay man in Florida who is a nurse and ends up being the legal guardian for a child that he cares for in a clinic where he works, because the boy's father comes in one day and says, "I can't take care of my son anymore, and would you take him?" And so the nurse agrees to take him. He's 4 years old at that point. Wow. And takes him home. But he can't adopt him because in Florida, at least when I made the film, there was a law that said no adoption if you're gay or lesbian.
Right.
And then there's a family in LA, two men who have a baby girl with a friend who carries the child for them.
Wow.
And then they split up 7 years later, and then each have new partners. So it's a little girl being raised by four gay men.
So when did you make this film? So what year did that come out?
The film came out in 2002, so it's been a while now.
It has.
Yeah.
Almost, it's been a decade.
Yeah, it's been a decade.
A little more than a decade.
Yeah.
So a lot has changed since you made the film. Let's talk about, when you were making the film, what kind of led you to want to, obviously there was a political side to it. Maybe you wanted people to see, gay parents, and that we can raise families. And then now fast forward to what you have experienced in the last, decade, laws changing, people's perceptions changing, and maybe speak about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was really interested in making the film because I felt like it hadn't been made before, and people didn't really know what did gay male families look like. This was pre-Modern Family, right? So this was pretty new stuff. And we were kind of coming out at the time of this whole period of, it's really the HIV epidemic, and where all that sort of energy that a lot of people in the LGBT community had was going towards caregiving for people who were affected by HIV. And so here was suddenly gay men were kind of coming out of that and saying, well, maybe we can begin, with these new treatments that are available, we can begin to think about our own future and that there's something beyond AIDS. And so that was leading a few men into the idea of wanting to be parents. And I wanted to chronicle that and document that. Now, this was long before, when I started the project, my partner and I did not have kids. And I weren't sure if we would ever do that. But somehow in the course of, making the film, we began talking about it more.
Interesting.
And then we kind of, I just felt like, well, I'm kind of sticking this camera in everyone else's face. I should probably document what's going on in our own house, and maybe something interesting will happen. And it did. Yeah. And so that became part of the film too.
Well, even though that came out in 2002, maybe opinions have not been what they've progressed today, but the film went on to air at several PBS stations. I mean, that was an amazing feeling for you, a lot of recognition.
I was really kind of blown away by it. I mean, I originally, it felt like a small project to me. It was something that was, of personal interest to me, and I think valuable for the LGBT community, for us to see, both for the people who were becoming parents, to have some validation around that, and also I raised some kind of tough issues in the film that kind of challenged the LGBT community around, well, are we making ourselves inclusive to the gay people in our community who have kids, or are we kind of an anti-kid community? So I wanted to kind of throw that out and have people debate that. I didn't think it was going to get that far. I had no idea it would premiere at Sundance. Once it premiered at Sundance, it kind of went ballistic. It showed at like 100 film festivals. It got a national premiere on PBS, and ended up showing in, I don't know, probably 10 or 20 countries around the world. So on TV.
Amazing. And then now Elton John and David Furnish, they're on to their second child. So we're not an anti-gay community. We're actually coming out more and more with our families. You mentioned that you did feature your own family, and in fact, you and your partner decided to have children while in the process of making this film. Do you want to share a little bit about that without giving away too much, if people haven't seen the documentary?
Sure. We like I said, we just decided we would look into it ourselves, and we ended up adopting a little boy from the foster care system right here in the Bay Area, and he was 9 months old at the time.
So he's like 13 now. He's a teenager.
Yes, he is 13 years old now.
So that's what's that been like? I mean, I hear when kids enter the first year of being a teenager. You must be dealing with some new stuff. I don't know, dating.
We're just getting into I don't know about the dating stuff yet, but there's that whole kind of like teenage angst and rebellion stuff. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it's a different, just a different time of life. We also have his 11-year-old brother, who's in our family as well, who we adopted when he was 2 weeks old. Wow. So we have two sons, 13 and 11, and
This is great. I do want to get into getting to know more about your family, and also the other film I want to talk about, which is Beyond Conception. I wanted to always say, I don't know why I wanted to say contraception again like I did before, because I'm thinking of, never mind. It's Beyond Conception, by the way, which touches on surrogacy, right? And but for now, we have to take a break. You'll stick with us?
Absolutely.
All right, great. Michelle Meow with Swirl. We'll be right back.